So by some sort of miracle, I actually have time to make another video this week. But before I get into it, I gotta do shoutouts to two people. The first off is Kelton T13. You really had me going, man. Let me tell you, about that whole deleting channel thing, like, before you made the video I figured it out, and fucking, you really screwed with my head, man. And to think I was actually going to hunt you down and cut off your testicles. You're funny, man. The second shout out is going to truth activist Robert Wannick, of all people. You see, I did a video talking kind of about him on blip.tv, and he actually found the video and put it on his YouTube channel, and it was a featured video for like a day, and I think it was even on the Alex Jones channel for like a couple of hours. But that video got over 1,000 views in a day, and it got like 14 or 15 honors. Now, none of my videos on YouTube Fucking Sucks or Dan the Norseman have received any honors, ever. So I was surprised. And I'm gonna shut the radio off because Tom Petty sucks, that's my opinion, but I'm gonna talk about political correctness. Now here's what I think political correctness really is, or started out as. I think it started out as lawmakers and politicians and people really up there trying to kind of, well, of course trying to control our speech, but kind of doing it in a peaceful way, trying to guilt trip us into having our free speech controlled. And it's enabled by people in America who just don't like getting their feelings hurt by certain words. Oh, they can't take an insult. Boo fucking who. So those people enable the bullshit that is political correctness to take hold. And you know, the fact that here in the United States, where we have freedom of speech, there is actually a philosophy telling people what to say. I mean, it's really laughable. I find it hysterical when I start thinking about it. But in this video, I'm going to be concentrating more on the stupidity of it more than the bullshit factor. For instance, it's gotten so bad, people don't even know what is racist and what's not, or what's offensive and what's not. It's just so over the top. The first thing I want to talk about is, when did saying black become a racial slur? Think about that. Calling a black person black, oh, you're supposed to say African American. Well, if you're born in America, and born and raised in America, how are you an African American? I don't consider you an African American unless you're actually from Africa and you immigrate to the United States. Then you're an African American. But no, you're just an American, a black American. But in every single school textbook I've ever seen, black Americans are referred to as African Americans, and white people are still just white. Well, why aren't white people European Americans? Huh? I don't understand that. I mean, personally, I actually am a European American, being that I grew up in another country, but you see, I consider myself to be just American, not European American or some stupid shit. And while I'm on the subject, why are Native Americans called Native Americans? Why aren't they just Americans? Because they're more deserving of just that title than anyone else, aren't they? Here's a little mindfuck for you. If you're Caucasian and you're from Africa, like if you're from like South Africa or something and you come to the United States, shouldn't it only be fair that you're called an African American? Now the second thing, when did calling somebody from Mexico a Mexican become racist? Like all teachers and shit I know, they all yell at me for calling a Mexican, to referring to Mexicans as Mexicans. Now see, I can understand how it would be construed as racist, like if you group all Latinos as Mexicans, like if you call a Cuban or Dominican a Mexican, I could kind of understand how that would be offensive in a way, but how is calling somebody from Mexico a Mexican? So by that logic, it's anti-Semitic to call someone from Canada a Canadian? Oh, and it must be real offensive to call someone from this country an American, I suppose. So does this mean that if anyone was to ever call me an Icelander, could I, sue them in a civil suit or some shit? I mean, come on. I want to give you a real-life example of this idiocy. In my school, we actually have a foreign exchange student from Hungary. And every single, well, almost everyone, they all refer to him as the Hungry Kid. Because apparently most of them are too stupid to comprehend big words like Hungarian. So there's this one time in my business class, somebody brought him up for some reason, and some girl says, "Oh, you mean the hungry kid?" And I had corrected her, and I said, "What do you mean hungry kid? He's a Hungarian." And the teacher tells me, "Oh, Hungarian, isn't that a bit anti-Semitic?" Are you shitting me? Or no, he said unpolitically correct. That's what he said. Calling somebody from Hungary a Hungarian, but hungry kid is all right? That's ridiculous, isn't it? Now the last thing I want to talk about, and this is where like political correctness seems to be flawed. Why is it seem to mostly be directed towards white people? Ever notice that? So isn't that kind of a flaw in political correctness? For instance, white supremacists, first off, there's racists of all colors and creeds, alright? But like white supremacists like neo-Nazis and KKK, whenever they appear anywhere, they're always all over the news and being criticized and whatnot, and rightly so. I mean, I personally think they're fucking scumbags. But how come like black racial groups, like for instance the modern day Black Panthers, they're looked at as like heroes of society? How does that shit work? You know, another thing I've noticed is I've never heard Asians called Asian Americans. They're always just called Asians. So that's not really fair, is it? But anyway, I just wanted to share a few words on how stupid political correctness has become, and it's basically yet another sign of a decaying American culture.